Let's show the people out in stores, August 17th, wherever you get your books. You wrote a book.
I wrote a book. Can you believe it? I'm an author.
Have you processed that at all? Is it weird to hold the physical item?
Very weird. And I'm very proud. And of course, you're going to love this story, Bryce, because there's this part, the pictures, which I love a book with pictures.
This one of this hair is wild. Little Dorinda Sinkala there with the hair of I don't even know.
Hannah had that hair. And you want to hear the weird thing? I was born with that.
That's wild.
But this is the one I love. The one with the perm. That's a home. That's a perm I did at home. And I forgot I had perm in my hair. So it was supposed to stay in for 8 minutes. 25 minutes later, my head was on fire. And my friend says to me, "Are you still supposed to have that?" I was like, "Oh my God." that is the product of a bad perm. And of course I win with it.
Of course. You have always been you. I think what I loved about reading the book, it fills in a lot of the gaps that we never got to learn about on RHONY. We learn about Dorinda Sinkala to Dorinda Lynch to Dorinda Medley to just Dorinda.
That's right.
Do you find yourself being all of those women, some of the time? Who's at the forefront right now at this stage in your life?
Well, you know what's interesting? It's funny you say that because during COVID, I was back up at Bluestone Manor, and I became so Dorinda Sinkala. It was like the Concord back to youth. When I'm back in Massachusetts, I'm definitely Dorinda Sinkala. When I am with Hannah, I am mom. She doesn't want to know, hear, or talk about me being the Real Housewife in New York City. In fact, she'll sometimes say to me, "Can we just be mom today?" But I think what I am today is a much more peaceful combination of all of them.
A theme of the book is that your life resets itself about every 6 years. Do you feel the book is the close of the last chapter or the start of the next?
That's a good question, because I don't think you ever fully close last chapters because you keep on carrying on lessons from each chapter you in. But there's a beginning. There is something going on for me right now where just all things have come together. I don't know if that would have happened if I didn't stop and just sort of reset a bit.
You open the book on the pause. We will not use fired because that word Andy apparently doesn't like. The pause. Why was that the place to start this story?
Because that's where I was. And if not for that, I probably wouldn't have had the sort of time, dedication, or interest in writing the book. So it really was a pause.
What did you learn about yourself in re-examining your own life? What's the takeaway for you?
I'm pretty strong. What was interesting when I had to write about Richard's death was, by the time you guys met me as an audience, he had already passed, obviously, for a while. And, it's his 10-year anniversary this year. And, what people don't can you imagine? It's wacky. I don't even know if Richard would know me. You know what I mean? I've got such a different life. I would love to have a cocktail with him and tell him about me today.
Wouldn't that be interesting? Yeah.
But I think that, by the time I started talking about Richard openly, I had restored him in my mind. So the process I had to go through was no longer part of my story, or something I revisited or Hannah revisited. We were kind of like, oh my God, that was scary. And I didn't want to hurt his children, and I didn't want to hurt Hannah. Even Ralph loved Richard so much. I remember Ralph said one of the most beautiful things to Richard days before he passed. He said, "I want you to know, Richard, I promise you the day our daughter gets married, I'll be on one side and you'll be on the other."
That's beautiful.
So for Ralph to say that, it was just, I was like, we did this right. We made it nice here.
Yeah, you made it nice. Yeah, to live up to the title.
Because I decorated, I cooked, I made it nice.
Is there anyone in your life in particular that you are nervous to have read the book?
No. I definitely just didn't do it on the cuffs. Like, I talked to my brothers. I talked to my old boyfriends. I talked to my parents.
So all the people who are kind of named in this have an idea of what might be included. So there's not going to be surprises to those people.
And I haven't said anything that really isn't.
No, there's fun and wild reveals like you almost being the victim of a serial killer in this, but there's
That
nothing.
was terrible.
There's
Can
nothing.
you imagine that? Can you imagine that? But he always creeped me out. So if I say anything to people, if that inner feeling, that sixth sense, my mother calls it the Holy Spirit, it's sort of something, I don't know if it's your, my mother would say it's your guardian angel. People would say it's anthropological, just like an animal. You know, if an animal, like they
that
usually
gut
will
instinct,
scatter,
yeah.
And I had a gut instinct. I was like, this person kind of rubs me wrong. And I was right.
Well, I would say it's also a theme of the book to follow your gut.
When I don't follow my intuition, when I don't follow that feeling like this is right and I go against that grain, it always fails for me.
One moment in which you followed your intuition was to turn down the original offer to become a Real Housewife of New York City. What?
Oh, wait, you know what? That's wrong. There was never an offer. There was like we were all taught.
Conversation.
Yeah. Well, it was all on the Upper East Side. You know, it was going around everywhere that they were, you know, the show was coming out. And, you know, I was always sort of someone in the mix, just like a lot of the girls, because we all knew each other. I think that's one of the reasons why it works so easily for me. You know, listen, people don't realize, and I have said this a million times, anyone that says anything about Housewives, it takes some very brave women to put themselves out there like that. So I knew that because I'd watched, you know, there's no getting away from it.
I'm not always right, but I'm never wrong.
In the discussion of the pause, you open it with, at the time, not understanding it, not getting the decision that was made. Do you get it now, and are you appreciative of it now?
Do I get it now in what way?
Like, do you get why you were put on pause?
Not really. I don't. I'm not upset about it anymore. I was sad about it in the beginning. But I didn't personally fully understand it. You know, people have done much worse than me on the show and had the sort of resurrection moment and come back. Yeah. People have, you know, had horrible seasons of the resurrection season, and we could name them off within my cast and many others. Mm-hmm. And I also thought for me, Bryce, the thing that was interesting is that the timing, because I was under the pressure that because of the year that I had and the flood and the house coming back and the renovation and the breaking up with John, I thought the next year would be sort of
that would be the reset. Well, and the timing was so odd because we found out before even the reunions had finished airing. So it was this weird space to live in of like we were watching a ghost on TV almost.
Which I think was upsetting to people.
Yeah.
And I think also too, you know, I thought I was planning this whole thing for a lot of the COVID activities to happen at Bluestone Manor, because Bluestone Manor was to me had become such a character on the show, right? So I was like, wow, they're kind of getting rid of me and Bluestone Manor. But you know what? I think, you know, I think that in the long run, it opened up a lot of opportunities. I would not been able to write this book because, or I would have written a book that was or just
I think it's like you said in my question of you start on the pause and that's the place you were. I think that was the perfect place to start because it kind of set the tone for a time to be reflective. It
was very fortuitous for me because of timing.
Yeah.
Who wanted to be filming during COVID anyway? It's tough.
The fans have been tough on this season. There's a lot of discussion about where the show goes in a season 14. If they came to you and said, here's the apple back, do you take it?
You never say never, right? You know, I'm always open to opportunities. I think this season's not over yet. I think there's probably, you know, the season needs to end and settle. And then who knows what's going to happen over the next 3-4 months.
So no conversations have happened as of yet.
No, and they never do. And also, too, I think it's an ever-changing thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you know, you're in the business.
Yeah.
You know, they don't make, people have this bizarre idea that they make these decisions months and months before.
Right. It's months and months after. That's why, but then there are the curveballs like your pause that then make people go, wait, how does this work? Because the timing of that didn't line up with the traditional timing.
Yes.
I asked Andy Cohen recently about, you know, what does the future of the show look like? He said it's probably the cast that we have, plus some, like think back to season 7, which you're first, that cast of like 8 women. You know, that's, I think, the vision for the next season.
Well, I think the audience would love that. I do think I think people are very reminiscent about the old cast.
Yeah.
And I think it's great to have new blood as well. And I think it's great to have Bluestone Manor back.
Have you been watching the season, or have you been kind of like, you know what?
I watch them all.
Okay, you have not given it up. Have you had any FOMO in watching it?
I watched them before and I watch them after. But it's always going to be like, you know, when you first got out of college and you're out of college and you're doing great at your job, but then someone says, "Oh my God, I'll call you after spring break," and you're like, "I miss spring break." You know what I mean? So I'm not going to be that person that's like, no, I make it. You know, of course you always have those moments because there's incredible camaraderie. I did it for 6 years.
My heart of heart tells me you'll be back. I did at the beginning of the season. I asked Ramona, would you welcome her back, say season 14, if she came back around?
I don't know if she's ready to come back.
I was like, I don't think that's true, Ramona.
I don't know why Ramona would say that. Maybe she's afraid I'm going to come back. You know what? First of all, Ramona doesn't know me anymore. Ramona hasn't contacted me at all. And I think if she's saying things like that, it's more out of fear than it is out of anything honest. We just don't talk. And I think she has her own stuff to worry about.
This is true. All right. So in the book, a theme is live life with no regrets. You know, even if you didn't like how something went or something you did, you can take a lesson away from it. And I just wonder you say you don't have any regrets about Housewives either, but is there any moment that maybe the outcome would stay the same, but would you have handled any particular moment differently?
Well, I think there is not a housewife that comes out of a season that doesn't have a regret. I feel very bad for what happened with Tinsley because I could see the writing on the wall.
I can't edit myself to dumbness. I can't edit myself to stupidity, darling. Manny, this is up now, sir.
I could have communicated it better. It was just, it's where I was at that time. Right. I was not in a great place. And I try to communicate that to, I think, the girls at the beginning when we were at the winery.
I am scared every day. Of what? Just, I know everybody thinks I'm so strong and so tough and so able and so this, and be the anchor for everyone's boat. But sometimes I want to be the boat every once in a while and just anchor to someone.
And the thing that I think I learned from that is everybody has to be on the cross at some point. And I really felt like a couple people that I thought would be helpful and supportive during that time weren't. And I was really struggling last year.
In the theme of your life resetting itself every 6 years and entering these new phases, what do you think the next 6 look like for you? Is there another book, more TV, romance? What's kind of on the vision board in your head?
I talk about it in the book. It's very, you just can't, you think you know what's going to happen and then it doesn't. But I think I'm very happy with all these new partnerships I've done. I mean, I've loved my Nutrisystem partnership. I lost 16 pounds.
Whoa,
that's amazing.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Right. I mean, my God, when they called me up and said, "Oh my God, it's, blah, blah, blah." I was both so honored and insulted at the same time. I was like, "Thank you, but why?" No,
yeah.
but I had gotten fat during COVID.
It's so true. I hadn't even thought about that. It's like, it's so flattering this big corporation wants to work with you, but also they're like calling you not, the ideal body type.
But I just let it all hang out. I mean, once I put on those elasticated pants, it was over.
We can all relate.
Sorry.
It's just so
I was so happy that when I get in the thing of it, and I really lost the 16 pounds, it just built my confidence up. And now it's like a way of life. And then we're going to do this Airbnb.
The Airbnb thing is wild to me, Dorinda. Because I know it's 2 one-night stays. It's a little quick situation while you're on your book tour. But are you concerned?
Hold on a second. You know what I said to someone the other day in the interview? It's 2 one-night stands.
It kind of, Bluestone, she's a beautiful lady.
The person was like, I said, "Oh my God, no. I mean,
stays. But are you at all concerned about people like rooting through the manor and looking through your stuff, or it's
Well,
kind
no, because here's the thing. It's very, as you can imagine, it's very, they're not going to be in my bedroom. You know, there's certain limitations.
It's kind of Graceland. It's you stay in certain areas of the house. Okay.
Exactly. And it's, you know, it's all very vetted. You're worried about people coming here for like a short overnight stay when I've allowed the Housewives to come here for 6 years.
Okay, fair point. That is a very fair point. I think
about that. On that note, where books are sold.